What's going on, guys? This is another Cowboy One Take, and this is a eye opener for some people who just thought the Nintendo Switch 2 was gonna do amazing. And I know there's people, I'm not gonna name names, but some people felt the Nintendo Switch 2 was gonna shut everything down. It was gonna beat everything. And listen, we've got to give credit where credit is due, and the sales are great. They're selling like hotcakes. They're also available at a lot of places as well. So I think that's shocking. Also, people didn't think they were going to be available as much. But what I'm here to talk about today is the game sales. See, while they're selling a lot of consoles, it seems that Switch 2 players are not purchasing the games. So there's reports that came out and said the games are selling less than expected. And they're selling worse than the worst expectations. So that's kind of wild. Now, there's a lot of reasons, right? I'm going to get to my reasons first. I said a while ago that the magic of the Switch 1 was that nothing else was out like it at the time. Now, the magic of the Switch 1, nothing else was out like it at the time. Although if you go back like 25 years ago, the Sega Nomad was the exact same thing. A portable Sega Genesis that you put the cartridge inside and actually hook it up to your TV, and it's on the monitor and you could take it off and walk and play, right? All right. But if you never heard of that, then the Switch 2, the Switch 1 was amazing, right? It was something we didn't have. We were able to have a portable console. All right. Now, the importance of that story is it made the Switch so special. But now, in 2025, the Switch 2 is not special. And it's not because it's the second version of the Switch. It's because the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally and all those other devices can do the same exact thing, but better, and have more third-party support. So, I just felt that the Switch 2 was not going to do well because of all those factors I just laid out. Now, let's get into some of the other factors. So, my good friend, TK9, he's a big Nintendo fan, used to be a big Xbox fan, migrated to Nintendo, and he is super into physical. And he feels that the lack of physical is the issue. So if you look into it, there's about 26 games that released for the Nintendo Switch 2 so far. And out of 26, only 4 of them are actual physical cartridges. So meaning the actual game is on the cartridge, you put it in, the game loads right up. The other ones are actual, the other 22 are actually they call them like keys. So on the cartridge you put it in and it's kind of unlocking the game, and it gets the download and the updates and all of that. So he feels that no, fans don't want digital. Fans of Nintendo want hardware. They want physical. And it's crazy because I would have thought Nintendo would be like the last ones to go digital. When I think of Nintendo, I always think of, man, they're going to have cartridges forever. And the crazy thing is, it says there's about, to make a physical, it costs about $15, but to put just the key on there, it costs about $4. So that's a difference of $11, and maybe developers want to save money. Now, you could say if they did physical, maybe they would make more money because more people will buy it. But the thing is that really the reason why people aren't buying the Switch 2 games? And I personally think it's a bad look, because if the games aren't selling, then they're going to do what the Switch 1 did, which was have a lack of third-party support. Because they came out this year, or this new Switch, saying we're going to have more third-party support, which I always didn't like the Switch 1 because the lack of third-party support and the fact that it was just underwhelming as far as specs. But now, why would I want to put my game on Nintendo if they're not going to sell? And before, you would say, oh man, the Switch have just a large player base, so if you put your games on there, they might sell well. Well, one would ask, well then why was third party very small before? All right, and I got a lot of reasons from some people. I won't say, said things like, well, the adoption rate was lower, and people just pretty much want to play their first party games on the Switch, and because the Switch came out a little later, people was already putting their third party games in other places. Well, I guess we'll have to see what happens when a game that's third party comes out for the Switch 2 and for the PlayStation or Xbox or PC at the exact same time, day and date, and we'll see which one sells better. But I just wanted to talk about that because for me, newsflash, not a shocker, I just see that it wasn't gonna, sell great as far as the games. Like, the Switch 2 itself is selling great. I didn't think it was going to sell as great as it is, but I just thought it was going to be somewhere along the lines that this thing was not going to do as great as it should, and there you are with the game. So, not that I'm down in it and I want it to do bad. I think competition is great, but I do feel, what's the point of getting a Switch 2 when you're going to have PlayStation 4 quality, and they're charging the prices that's more than a PlayStation 5 game. Like, it just kind of feel like it's a mismatch in numbers. And on top of that, PlayStation, just giving credit where credit is due, they seem to be the last ones that's really holding out for physical. So most of their games are physical. Even the Microsoft games that's going to PlayStation are physical on PlayStation and only digital on Microsoft. And trust me, I don't care about physical at all. I've been going digital so long, I can't remember the last year I bought a physical game. So digital is for me. I don't care about game preservation. I don't care to play a game for the rest of my life. Once I played it, beat it, enjoyed it, had fun, if it had a multiplayer mode that was real fun and I'm kind of move on to another game, I may never play the game again, so I don't really care. But for the people who do care, I think it's great if you get, your games physical. And it just seems like Nintendo is going in the opposite direction. If you got 26 games and only, 4 of those games are physical. Now, some people are going to say, like my guy K9, well, Cowboy, that's not on Nintendo, that's on the developers. I think it's still on Nintendo because they made the technology to allow games to not have to be physical. So they gave you the means to be able to put your games on the system and it not having to be in physical format. So you still got to kind of bring it back to Nintendo. For instance, if I had a gun in my house and I didn't lock it up and my kids go to school and shoot up the school, I still got to be held responsible, and so therefore Nintendo has to be held responsible for allowing the developers to have the choice of not having physical. So anyway, guys, that's pretty much my thoughts. With that being said, thank you guys for watching. I'm curious to know what you guys think of the Nintendo Switch 2 low sales of games. But with that being said, and now your mama knows. Oh, man.
I'll make you famous.
Because I'm a cowboy! Oh, man!
And now, your mama knows.